we're not going to invest in nations that do this type of thing. So
That's
the
easier
NBA,
said than done. That's easier said than done because everything, most of all our goods are made in China.
no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're going to take a moral high ground on the Hong Kong situation, but yet you do business with that government, how hollow are your words if you're feeding the very government that is doing the atrocities? So it's easier said than done if you have a you love the contract that you have with China. I'm not talking about the apparel. I'm not talking about other trading, because I'm talking about the NBA does not have to have games there. They do not have to do that.
Right.
They won't do that because it is profitable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yet then they want to say that they're standing up for the people of Hong Kong. On the other hand, which is the kind of hypocrisy that puts humanity in jeopardy, because
Absolutely.
that's what all of these around the world, they're saying one thing, but they're accepting the bag in the shadows of the night. So the NBA needs to decide its stance on China and other countries that have so-called abuses. Not saying that they are, but
no, you're absolutely right.
Maybe they view their political views and their business different, because some people, it's just like when President Trump was elected and he was saying how we want all our goods made in the United States. We're going to bring back jobs and this and this and that. While his suits are made in China, like his ties and his apparel, his daughter's apparel, all of that was made in China for less money than it would have been made if it was in the United States. So yeah, we can speak all this stuff, and maybe they probably think, oh, we can separate our business from our political humanitarian views. And so maybe they feel like they're not mutually exclusive, they're different, they're separate.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you that
I've just never seen and I think that's the misconception to know politics is to know business and to know money, because political decisions are decided on average because of finances. They just don't say it that way because it's this realm called politics. But you show me a political issue, and if you follow the money, you can see how people are actually going to vote. Give me any piece of legislation and show me the money, and I'll tell you how that congressman is usually going to vote. So I think the NBA, this is a part of what the NBA has to consider when they are global. They're taking this game global, and they may not have factored in that there's global politics involved everywhere they're taking this game, and work out how they're going to see that. And how their owners and their administration is going to address political issues in those countries, because you do have to study these issues before you comment on them, because they're very intricate and detailed. And what Americans tend to do too much is try to go in other places without knowing all the facts and without knowing what the people there can teach them about their situation.
Absolutely. And we're going to leave it there. That's the good thing about being part of a podcast, is that we can go past as much as we want to and still get these bills paid. So we're going to come back. Feminism. Is chivalry dead, and has feminism killed it? I know we've been waiting on this one all day. So You Up Radio will be back in just a second. Let's go pay these bills. We'll be right back after these messages.
Black skin, black faces, black people make black magic. So pay me every fucking dime and add taxes. Copper feel in a room full of brass tactics.
Welcome back, You Up Radio, everyone. Dr. Nice and Douglas Will McKee back with you again. Again, if you want to check us out, on any platform. We're all over the place. We're on Deezer, Castbox, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Blog Talk. And if you want to hit us up on any kind of social media, you can check us out on Twitter at UUpRadio, also on IG, at UUpRadio, Facebook, UUpRadio. You can reach out to any of us and speak to us anytime about any topic that you want to, and we'll maybe discuss that in a production meeting and bring it up on the show. But let's start with our last topic of the day, which is feminism, and is it killing chivalry? And that was a good show that came on, an episode of Blackish, by the way, that talked about feminism and how it was, the old school of thinking about it, how men were looking at it the wrong way. And we decided to come up on this topic because Doc brought up something that was interesting, and I found very interesting, was that certain things can be said by certain people that are particularly by a certain particular gender, which is men, that can be taken either in context or out of context, depending on who you're talking to, and offensive. it can be offensive. Yeah. It can be deemed offensive in that realm. So let's talk about that a little bit, Doc. Tell the people what you were talking to myself and Mr. J.C. Polk about a couple of days ago in the production meeting. We'll start from there.
Well, I think the idea of feminism has gone from just political access, workforce equality, to everyday interaction amongst men and women, amongst genders. And so the Blackish episode really spoke to how women interact with men and how men interact with women nowadays in 2019 versus how the interactions were back in, I would even go as far as say maybe the 90s and later. Earlier. And so in one particular instance, there was a scene in which Dre and his the males in his family, his father and his two sons, were at a restaurant, and a female waitress came up to them. And so Dre said, and she was just taking their order, and just Dre said, "Oh, it's okay, baby girl, you can smile. You know that everything gonna be all right." And so Junior looked at him and said that, well, that's kind of offensive because you're assuming that her day is not okay.
Right.
And it's not, and you can make it better by just telling her to smile. And that's very offensive. And so from Dre's perspective, that's just how he grew up.
Right.
He grew up, saying little stuff to women, and he thought it was okay because somebody taught it to him. And so he looked at it as it being something that was common and it was okay.
He thought he was being chivalrous, actually, which is the reason why I asked if chivalry did.
I can make you feel better because you're a woman, and I can make you feel better by saying it's okay to smile.
Right.
And I was saying that, men say that to me all the time.
Right.
And I don't walk around with a smile on my face. I don't know too many people who just walks around, even babies don't walk around with smiles on their face. And so I don't understand why it's so important for men to actually point that out to you when you just minding your business.
Right.
It's not that you're feeling upset or you had a bad day. It could very well be that, but on many occasions it's not that.
But when you look particularly at that episode, was that him being chivalrous? Was the result of that episode or that segment within that episode showing that chivalry has died, or is there just a new age chivalry? Like, is chivalry shown in a different light now that we have progressed to this point, and we know that certain things like that in context can come off offensive?
It was more so that chivalry has evolved. It has gone past you speaking to a woman and in your mind you're making her feel better, or you think because she looks a certain way that she's not having a good day. So it's more so that chivalry has evolved. I think now chivalry is more so a respect for each other and spaces and views.
Well,
not more.
Let me play devil's advocate on that for just a second, Doc. and I want to say it from this point of view, because this is one, and I told you in the production meeting, so I'll tell our listeners as well. This is never a line that I've used. You mentioned that normally when you hear that, your first thought is it's a line as an icebreaker to try to proceed with asking for a phone number, so to speak.
Right.
And I said in the meeting, that's never a line that I've ever used. I've always thought it was a whack line. But in contrast to that, I've seen where it worked. And with some women, it seems to be more of a, you've gotten my attention because because I wanted attention in that regard. And I've seen it where some women want the attention and they welcome it. Is it fair to then throw it back on the male? And then we'll go to McKee after your response. But is it fair to throw it back on the male that toss that out as offensive when he may be using a line that has worked in the past and he's just trying that one on you? Is it fair to make it a globally offensive term?
Well, I take offense to it because you don't know what my day is like. And so for you to,
right.
Maybe I don't want to smile, for you to say, oh, it's okay to smile. Maybe I don't think it's okay. But are you going to fix it? Or do you feel like you can fix it by telling me I should smile?
Right.
Because there's nothing that comes behind that. You can say, oh, it's a beautiful day. Be blessed. I see that it seems as if you have a lot on your mind. I just want to say, keep your head up. He could have followed it up with something like that, but they never do. So right. it becomes more of, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to make a move on me? Is that your icebreaker? You're trying to talk to me, or
right?
Or are you just saying it because you can say it?
Right.
And that's something that men say. That's the problem that I have with it, because if you want me to feel better, you think I'm in a bad mood, you want me to feel better, it needs to be a follow-up. Oh, it's a good day, blessed, be blessed, or whatever. And right. So
McKee,
that's my thing.
McKee, give us the male perspective on this. How do you look at it in terms of chivalry? What do you consider chivalry? Do you think it's evolved, or is dead, or do you follow more of the traditional forms of chivalry in that regard? Because I'll be honest, I very rarely see men open the door for their wives anymore, or girlfriends anymore. They just get in the car. And I don't always do it for mine, but every now and again I do. But I try to teach my sons to make sure that they hold the door open for their mother and my daughter when she's walking through. Do you feel the same? Do you feel like chivalry has evolved and there's a new way of chivalry to kind of protect us from being offensive going forward?
Great way you put it. I mean, chivalry has definitely evolved, and I'd say, how could it not? Because it's not isolated out on an island, irrespective to the other societal evolution that's going on as well. So it has had to evolve. And if it doesn't evolve, what was once chivalrous could now be a sanction. So it would have to evolve. I hold the door open for the women in my life, but I hold the door open for men too that are coming with a lot of bags, or I think that's just a kind gesture to show community, and it doesn't always have to be genderized in that respect. But I think.
It's situational. It's definitely situational because, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but in the South, that's what we do. We're, we speak, we hope, we open the door, we hold the door for people. And you're right. I don't think it should be, genderized, like you said, or you used the word genderized, but
yeah.
But genderized, or what I meant by that was in the sense of kindness in general.
Right. The revolution will not be genderized. I just wanted to say that it's been on my mind ever since you said
and not genderized to coin that term. I'm saying kindness should be ubiquitous in a lot of ways too. You're trying to help somebody, which includes women if you're a man. I do also believe in going out of your way to show kindness as well to women in particular too. But I think a lot of that is going to be determined and should be determined by women. And